Today is the 4th day of July 2020, and happy Independence Day to my American colleagues. We thank you, we praise you, we appreciate y'all for what y'all have done for Kai Mills and the island of Abaco, and indeed Abaconians. Happy Independence, because if it wasn't for America, where would Abaconians be 10 months later when the government of the Bahamas have done nothing to try to make our life better 10 months in? The most honorable Prime Minister couldn't bury our dead in 9 months, nor could he attend the memorial of our dead. But it got worse. On the 2nd of July 2020, the competent authority that solely lies in the hands of the most honorable Prime Minister, a gynecologist turned Prime Minister, Dr. Hubert Minnis, that also resumed the post of Minister of Health. As the competent authority, he enacted into law that nobody, Bahamians or not, can enter into this country called the Bahamas unless they have a COVID-19 test, and you have to email the information to the government before you arrive. The government has to receive it, and that haven't happened. I see why Dr. Dwayne Sands is pushing for leadership. Dr. Sands, because he have integrity, admit his wrongdoing, that he let persons into the country without having the COVID-19 test. So he resigned because he had integrity. Now then, fast forward, the 2nd of July, the competent authority that comes solely out of the office of the Prime Minister, the most honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis, we're waiting for him to show that he has some integrity. We want to hear from him. Why and how did so much Mexicans came in through Nassau that it could infect the flight attendant, the pilots of Bahamas Air? We want to know, how did they get in this country? We don't want to hear that they sent in the test, but it was in Spanish and the Bahamian authorities couldn't read it. The health department say they got nothing, zero, in Spanish, English, nor Greek. We would have thought in any decent country, after so many Bahamians could be exposed to COVID-19, we in this country want to know, how did so many Mexicans come in? And we know how much COVID-19 cases are in Mexico. It's flourishing. It's the same thing going to happen in Baker's Bay. The rich elite from Baker's Bay, that these people are going to repair their homes. Are they going to have Baker's Bay a COVID positive island? Are the Bahamian workers that are in Baker's Bay, are they going to be exposed? If these persons come into Maxwell's, only need one person is all of Abaco going to be exposed because you have 4 or 5 businesses in Maxwell's, and all of Abaco visit Maxwell's to try to get back to some normalcy. So it's the competent authority become incompetent. Kai Mills is saying, if this prime minister allow these persons to come into the Bahamas without a COVID-19 test, he is incompetent. And he has to show integrity, just like the Honorable Dwayne Sands did, and swiftly resign. We, the people of the Bahamas, looking to hear when this prime minister gonna show some integrity and resign forthwith for putting all of his citizens at risk of death and destruction. After Hurricane Dorian, COVID-19, we're stuck with a prime minister by the name of the most honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis, a gynecologist gone prime minister. We're looking, the world is watching Dr. Minnis to see if you have some integrity and to resign forthwith. It should have happened from the moment it was discovered that these persons did not have a COVID-19 test, and the law said it has to be emailed into the competent authority before they come to the Bahamas. If this did not happen, you, sir, have to finally show some integrity, because you haven't been showing any integrity for the past 3 years as Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. So we are asking, if the information that's coming out is truthful, that you, as the Minister of Health, you in charge of the competent authority, and you only have the authority to allow these persons to come into Abaco and indeed Nassau. And if you didn't, and they didn't have the test, you, sir, have to resign forthwith. The Bahamas is watching, the world is watching. And you're live here on WCAY, and Kai Mills is waiting to hear the announcement from Nassau, Bahamas, that their competent authority has finally decided to be competent by resigning because of his lack of integrity. If you do have some integrity, sir, you need to resign. And you ought to have resigned from the moment that it was discovered that hundreds of persons from Mexico came into the Bahamas without COVID-19 tests. When the Bahamians, when Kai Mills was locked in Nassau for 2.5 months, got the test, and y'all withhold my papers for 3.5 weeks before I got the paper to come back. And I was in the island. I was in Abaco, from Abaco, got locked in Nassau. Couldn't return, nor could any students or any Bahamians return back to their homeland without the COVID-19 test. Yet, Baker's Bay, the most corrupt resort in the history of the Bahamas, and indeed Abaco, that awarded the Prime Minister and the great white shark Brent Simonet $25 million to operate a ferry service. Is this the payback from the $25 million that y'all collected illegally? Is this what we say? After $25 million, you could do anything, even to cost the debt of your citizen. Is the 25 million worth it, Mr. Prime Minister? You and you alone have to answer that question. You and you alone got to say that 25 million that y'all collected 2 years ago for the ferry service was worth COVID-19 being brought into Abaco after there's no cases reported in Abaco to date. What if one of those Mexicans have COVID-19? You have destroyed all of Abaco. You're live with Kai on WCAY on the 4th day, American independence of July 2020, waiting to hear that our Prime Minister gonna do the honorable thing and resign because of his lack of integrity. You're live with Kai on WCAY, hoping and praying that the Prime Minister resign forthwith because of his lack of integrity. Dwayne Sands did the honorable thing because he have integrity and he got integrity, so he resigned immediately. We are now waiting on the biggest announcement to hit this country since this weightless F&M government and this weightless Prime Minister has been the Prime Minister of this country. We're waiting for him to resign respectfully. You're live with Kai on WCAY.